Hello and welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us for Her Future Summits 2022 edition. We're going to dive right in. And of course, I know our moderator had some pre-conceived questions for all of you, but just take, brief 30 seconds, introduce yourself, how you show up in this world, and we'll take it from there. We'll still have a dynamic conversation. I'll start with Dr. Raquel. Thank you for joining.
Hi, everybody. Happy to be here. I am Raquel Tatar. I'm the Senior Director of Research and Measures for a nonprofit called Healthy Minds Innovations. And this nonprofit is predicated upon bringing well-being tools and translating scientific insights into scalable products that can promote well-being across the world. I am a psychophysiologist by training and a translational scientist by trade. So that means that I am able to do scientific studies and then convert those into commercial products that are freely available for anybody in the world. And the way that I got here is I'm an immigrant, and the way that I was convinced to leave my home and come into the US was that this was an opportunity for me to do really good work that I could then help people with the insights that I'd be gathering. So that's what brought me to science. And then I really wanted to have a way of taking that out of scientific institutions and universities and making it available for everybody so that that knowledge wouldn't just stay concentrated on a few people. And that's what brought me to Healthy Minds Innovations, is really being able to translate all that I've learned and make it available for everybody.
Thank you so much. Going right over to Andrea.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for this great opportunity. So my name is Andrea Feigl, and I'm the CEO and founder of the Health Finance Institute. We're based in Washington, D.C. We're a nonprofit, and we have a global focus to catalyze financing for chronic diseases such as mental health, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, cancer, for underserved populations. And what really drew me to this mission, my background was as an economist. I worked with, leading universities, international organizations, but still we didn't see any translation of that economic evidence of investments in these conditions translated into action. And chronic diseases also disproportionately affect women, disproportionately affect vulnerable people. And so our organization is all about solidarity and equality in financing and access. So really excited to share a bit about the story and this wonderful panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Tal.
Hi, everyone. Super excited to be here. This was very inspirational. The video before this panel and the talk was amazing. Hi from Tel Aviv. I am VP Lending at Celsius Network. We are a crypto company. My journey is actually from the military defense industry, 14 years over there. And now I'm here at Celsius Crypto. And I am here because I want to bring more women to the blockchain and crypto space and the fintech area. This is my mission. This is my company mission as well. So that's why I'm here, I guess. And because you invited me.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, Jory.
Thanks, Christine. Hello, women. I'm Jory Jardins. I'm CMO of a company called Countable. We are a community engagement platform that activates all stakeholders around social impact. And I got to Countable by way of my own company that I co-founded called Blog Her. Blog Her is an international women's community, but we had started with, as three chicks with credit cards who wanted to change the world and help other women develop their platform. And it has since become a large media company now with She Media. I also have an obsession with democratizing technology. Once I got into blogging 15 years ago, I realized, wow, if we all had our own printing press, what else could we do in the world? And I support companies that are also trying to democratize and make new services available to other people. So I am a VC in residence at a fund called W Fund, which represents underrepresented founders and helps them to grow their companies. And I advise Web3 startups as well.
Amazing, amazing. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, our brief introductions. So I'm going to dive into one of the probably the key takeaway points that many of our audiences have at Her Future Summit, just opportunities that women like yourself can provide other females, whether they're entrepreneurs, corporate executives. So I'll work my way backwards this time, starting with Jory, just to ask you simply if you could share any initiatives, programs, or projects that either you or your institution is doing to empower women professionals and entrepreneurs.
So Countable focuses on many different communities. We engage all stakeholders, and the way it operates is we know communities get a lot done in the world, but you have to engage them authentically, or else it's just marketing. So we help organizations to engage and find their community, and we help to automate and activate that community behind any kind of initiative. Another one, though, that I think I would like to mention as it relates to women is a company that I worked very closely with earlier last year, actually, called Above Board. And this is a platform that helps to make roles and leadership roles, C-level and board roles, more accessible to women and underrepresented executives. There's a dirty little secret in executive recruiting, which is if you don't have the secret handshake and if an executive recruiter does not know you, then you will not have access to top roles and top companies. And many companies, of course, are singing, we are all trying to be diverse. We're all trying to bring in women and people of color and people that have not been at our company before and have leadership that reflects the population. And yet they have not really reached out appropriately to underrepresented but qualified talent. So the platform does make those roles available and helps to surface underrepresented talent to companies that are really in earnest trying to diversify their corporate leadership.
Thank you. And we'll come back to that to ask a little bit more about your journey in building this platform as well. Tal, over to you. What are you working on that women could just jump in on and be a part of?
Well, when we started Sales over 3-4 years ago, we were actually 50, even 60% women in the company. And for unfortunately, with growing the company from 8 employees to 800, that percentage went down. So we find this as the problem in this year, and we decided we start, having more initiative to bring more women, joining our company, but also, being our customers, right? At the end of the day, we are, a crypto company that wants to bring people to, financial freedom using their crypto. So it's not always that easy to bring customers into crypto, but then women, right? We just came back from Austin, from South by conference. We had our first women hackathon. That was very exciting. Bringing women to tech and, actually development jobs in Celsius. And, also we have a lot of education programs for women and, for customers overall about crypto to make people feel more comfortable about it. But, especially us, women, when we are always checking things a little more before we go into it, right? So, we're working very hard on education this year.
Thank you for sharing. Andrea.
Yeah, so I wanted to build on what Tal has mentioned, because I think it's critical that we need to also be the change that we want to see in the world. I just love that saying, it never gets old. And as of today, 75% of our executive board is female. Actually, it so happens all our full-time staff and contractors are female as well. And 80% of our full-time employees come from diverse backgrounds. So we're a small organization, but I'm just extremely proud that we can be that, represent that change. And then in terms of the programs that we're working with, we're partnering with the Red Cross in Armenia for type 2 diabetes program. And I think it serves about 80% of the population, vulnerable population served are women. We are working with a fantastic female leader in Mexico with respect to type 1 diabetes program. So we have this, since we have this ability to be flexible and really try to focus not just on health issues for underprivileged, but also partner with those where we see strong female leadership. and two other actually opportunities. So one of our board members, senior board members, is Shelly Salis, and she runs this organization called Female Quotient. And it's a wonderful organization, and you're nodding and you know her and of the organization. And she just does this fantastic job of not just highlighting and the importance of role models, but works with top organizations to improve on their female leadership support. And then lastly, we are also transitioning to and having this an announcement that we actually haven't made, but we will be co-investing in a startup that focuses like as part of an accelerator program. And some of our criteria will be not just that it's evidence-based, but that it has a diverse leadership. So we are trying to actively, in our way, change, but also partner with organizations that want to see that gender equality come to reality sooner rather than later.
Thank you. And Dr. Raquel.
So a lot of the things that HMI is doing is very similar to the other initiatives that we've heard here. One of the things that we are actively trying to fight against is that a lot of times the field that we're trying to adapt, like contemplative neuroscience, is a very male-dominated field. And that's a lot of times it's male scientists. The studies are primarily male. The populations are very white and very homogeneous. So we're actively trying to learn more from communities that haven't had their voices really brought to the forefront of this sphere, to learn what well-being actually means for those communities and what they actually need from us and the products that we're creating. And the difficulty that we have is that a lot of times funding agencies don't give you the money that you need to do that long startup work to build relationships with those communities, because you're not going to have a return on that investment right away. It's going to be a year or so down the line before you even begin the work of exploring what well-being means to them, because you have to take the time to develop the trust with those communities. So what we're doing right now is trying to be creative with our different funding sources to allow ourselves the ability to build trust and relationships with these communities, and really depending on some of our community partners and exploring some of these deeper relationships, so that we can trust that our products are things that everybody in the world can actually use, and not just something that rich white males in the US are benefiting from. That's not the business that I'm interested in building. And then for our employees, the pandemic did have some benefits that allowed us to be a little bit more flexible. So we're able to, because we're all virtual still, we can hire anywhere in the US. So that allows us to be a lot more flexible with who we bring onto our team. So we're expanding the voices that we have internally. And my team, the science team, ended up being all women, all with small kids at home, which comes with its own set of challenges. And really what I try to promote in my team and in all of the other teams is that we have to invest in trust first. If we trust our employees, they'll get the work done. They might do it at 2 a.m. because they have a sick 3-year-old at home. That's fine. Trust your employees and you'll never go wrong. So that's the #1 initiative that we are really focusing on for HMI.
Well said, well said. And I wanted to continue building on this, right? Where each of you have shared initiatives that you are either internally working on and opportunities that women could jump on in terms of what you're working. But let's go a little bit beyond. If you've heard of any initiatives or programs outside of your organization that women could tap into. I know at Her Future Summit every year, we list that close to 100 organizations that are empowering women. Just on this panel alone, we heard Female Coaching. Of course, Jory mentioned the infamous, the blog, her platform, now what she knows media. And so would love to hear if any initiative that inspires you, any program or initiative that women on this call could jump on. And I'll mix it up a little bit. I'll start with Tal.
Sure. First, Andrea spoke about Shelly. Shelly is amazing. We were just in South by with her and her team. Just incredible work over there. I can only suggest, when it comes to crypto and blockchain, it sounds very hardcore. It sounds very hard to understand, but it's actually not that hard. And therefore, there's a lot of crypto education online. Celsius is doing a lot of this. I would suggest anyone who wants to get some crypto education to reach out to us, to Celsius, to myself as well, free on LinkedIn. And we would love to help and, help you grow into the fintech companies and learn about the new fintech areas. You know, crypto is one of the most emerging industries these days. So I can't tell you of one specific place, but I can tell you that if you want to go into fintech, if you want to go into crypto and blockchain, you definitely can come to us and ask us for your, to advise, and would love to help. Me specifically would love to help.
Thank you for sharing. Dr. Raquel.
Well, I think one of the biggest things that the female community can really do for each other is invest in these kind of networking events. Like Jory was saying, a lot of times you have to know the right people and know the right handshake, and that's impossible to know. You'll never learn that in school. There will never be an online blog telling you how to do this. It takes these kind of connections. So I think having these kinds of events like the Future Summit or Female Quotient, and really reaching out and building these relationships with each other to strengthen ourselves as a community of women is really critical.
Mm-hmm. Jory, any initiatives that you're aware of?
Well, yes, I did mention Above Board, which is the executive recruiting platform, and it actively introduces female executives to corporates. The other one is one that I also had mentioned, the W Fund, which is focused on female founders and surfacing not just female founders, underrepresented founders. And interestingly, I think another way that it helps female founders is think about founders who are over 40. There is this playbook, young male founders who get funded. And if, you've had this long, illustrious career and then realize like, wow, I'd like to bring that expertise into a startup, you actually have been almost penalized by the venture capital world because you are over 40 years old. So thinking about not just from a gender perspective, but from an age perspective, the W Fund is well aware of these biases in the industry and is seeking to turn that around and support not just new founders, but experienced executives.
Amazing. And Andrea?
Yeah, so in our field, which is focused on international development and impact finance, there's a couple of initiatives that have caught our eyes, and one is called EDGE, Economic Dividends for Gender Equality. Then there's the Gender Equality Mainstreaming Framework, and then the Women's World Banking, WWB, Gender Assessment Methodologies. And these are all sort of like higher level systematic approaches to ensure that women, especially in lower income settings, have access to capital. There's also the Women's World Banking Capital Partners Fund, which provides over $100 million in blended finance opportunities. And another one recently established by Goldman Sachs and IFC was the Women Entrepreneurs Opportunity Facility, which was also a first of its kind partnership to provide $1 billion for investments in women entrepreneurs in emerging markets. And now these are very high level and specific opportunities. And I just want to, since I'm having the mic right now, I also wanted to share a very quick anecdote. So when we were fundraising for the very first time for a big seed funding, it was a Surbi, a female co-founder, and myself. And we had two male advisors, and they constantly had to basically point the focus back on us in these fundraising meetings. So I just want to say, like, you don't just have to find female allies. I think also find allies that believe in you as a young or older female founder. And because that is also a huge component in ensuring that you have allies, both female and male, who can say this is the person you need to invest in, or this is the leadership that we see in this founding team. And I think that's just as important as these systematic opportunities as well.
Well said. So with that, I think I wanted to end on a more personal note. And ladies and gentlemen, we're giving this on the spot here because your bios, each and every one of you are trailblazers. You're doing dynamic work in the industries that you serve. I wanted to ask you each a personal question. If you could tell yourself one word of advice, your younger self, younger self, what would it be and why? And I'll start with Jory.
Oh boy. Well, if I was talking to my younger self, I think that there is a lot of pressure, particularly on women, to go, and outperform, because we have to if we're going to be seen. At least that's how we see it, right?
Mm.
And I feel like I probably expended way too much energy in the early days, because a lot of what I have come to call on later on in my career is wisdom that was developed over time, and that you cannot work. You just have to, it's time and wisdom. So I don't know if I would have listened to myself if I said, hey, take it easy. I don't think I would have. But I do think that maybe not be so hard on myself.
Mm. Well said. Jumping over to Dr. Raquel.
Yeah, that's a tough question. I think what I would say, and I think similar to Jory, I would have a hard time listening to myself, but hopefully someone here will. Especially as women, and those of us who are also immigrants, we feel like we can't fail. We hear so often that women don't get a second chance to fail. Men get to fail all the time, but women get that one chance and that's it. And especially in any kind of innovative field, or if you're trying to make a mark and do something different, you have to fight for your right to fail. It is okay to make mistakes. You will only discover and do something new if you fail 90 times before that. And you have to create a space for yourself personally and in your career and your environment to take those risks and to fail. And then there are steps that you can do. There are concrete things that you can do, but it really starts with your own personal comfort with failure. And that is okay. It's how we learn, but it's a hard lesson.
Thank you for that. Andrea?
Yeah, what came to mind with this very difficult question is, I think that my advice would be, trust your inner voice and trust the quality of your own work. I think there's so much of second guessing. Am I good enough? Is this really me? And that expends energy. So I think that don't be too subjective, but look at least objectively at what you can offer, and if that little voice tells you to try an opportunity, trust that voice.
Tal?
I think I'm taking a little bit from Andrea here, even though I would probably need everyone's to take what everyone said and listen when I was younger. But I think I see it in a lot of women, and I unfortunately had this for a long time, is, fighting that imposter syndrome, believing sometimes like, you're good at what you're doing, but then you're starting to debate sometimes. So, fight it off. You do what you do it great. Trust in yourself and rank yourself higher. If you're going to a job interview, you can ask for more money. You're good at what you're doing. They brought you so far. When you sit in front of, a lot of men in one table telling you you're wrong, trust your instincts. If you think you're right, you might be right here. Push for what you believe in and believe that you're really good at what you're doing. So I guess this is it. Just believe in yourself.
No, thank you for that. And the beauty in your responses, the common denominator across all of them is that trusting that inner self, right? That introspection, because to many of your points, we don't do enough of trusting our inner gut. It wasn't all about skills and strategy. It was more personal. So thank you for having that vulnerability of sharing that insight to the audience. With that, I know we're going to conclude this panel. So I'm going to give each of you guys a quick 5 seconds closing remarks, takeaway for the women at Her Future Summit this year. So starting with Jory.
Always starting with me. I'm glad at the end of the day, it feels great being around more women again. So thank you for the opportunity, and hope to see you at Countable.com. And we also have a sister site called Causes, which is where you can get together with other like-minded people and create coalitions and learn about more in civic society.
Thank you. Tal?
Well, I would just love to meet more women, more professional women. Reach out. I would love to hear from you. I would love to learn, but also help if I can, especially in the crypto and fintech space. So thank you for this opportunity. This was very, very fun.
Andrea?
Yeah, thank you so much. And if anyone who listens in is interested in joining our huge cause, we need more people to help fund and fight for funding for underserved communities and chronic diseases, and also just a challenge to turn it around. I think everyone is at least sometimes in a position of power to empower other women and other underrepresented leaders. So what can you do? What is in your power to change the world to be a more equal place?
Dr. Raquel.
Well, as we are all going through our careers and rising through the ranks, to always remember that trust and kindness will serve you every single day of your career. And that is something that you can infuse in all of your interactions and all of your relationship with your employees and your clients and your higher ups. It'll never fail you. And you should always just keep those as your back pocket.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful ladies of the second panel sharing their insights. Thank you so much again for joining us for Her Future Summit. We looking forward to staying in touch with you, hopefully for next year and, of course, beyond. Thank you so much, ladies. It was an honor to have each and every one of you.
Thank you.